Qiu Luo sat in the driver's seat, a serious expression on his face. Stop boasting, fasten your seatbelts, prepare to set off. A blue car and a black car simultaneously turned on their lights. Lin Yi, Liang Jinming, and Ning Che, along with Qiu Luo, were all astonished, looking very surprised as 4 cars, blue, red, gray, and black, suddenly stopped surrounding them. Qiu Luo glanced around as the headlights illuminated the scene. Many people from the 4 cars got out. Leading them was a man wearing a red tie, his expression stern. The man in the red tie looked at Alyssa's corpse and pondered, I didn't expect to arrive one step too late. Alyssa has been killed. Lin Yi sat in the car, seriously looking out. You stay hidden in the car. The 3 of us will go check it out, he said. Liang Jinming looked at Lin Yi, who was curled up, holding his head. Don't worry, Lin. He replied, You don't need to tell me. I've hidden well. Qiu Luo turned back to look at him. There are many of them. Lin Yi opened the car door, stepped out, and stared at the man in the red tie. No matter how many cabbages there are, they are just more cabbages, he whispered. The man in the red tie looked at the 3 of them, his gaze unchanged. The 3 were a group, Lin Yi wielding a knife, looking at the man in the red tie with a serious expression. If I'm not mistaken, you are the dog sent by Va Xiongji to kill me, right? He said. The man in the red tie looked at Lin Yi with a serious expression. That's right, but I didn't expect your speed to be so fast. I didn't expect you to kill her so quickly. But now, you won't be so lucky. The man pointed forward and shouted, Do it! A group of men in black, armed with swords, rushed toward Lin Yi and his companions, their expressions serious. Lin Yi, holding a knife, stared at them, thinking, the skills of these people must have reached level E. Could it be due to genetic fluid? How thrilling! Lin Yi stomped his foot and jumped, charging at 2 men in black armed with swords. He plunged the knife deep into one man's heart, causing him to writhe in pain. Ning Chi lightly grasped the hand of another and struck fiercely at his carotid artery, killing him on the spot. Qiu Luo, serious, slashed directly into the chest of a man in black. At the same moment, the man in the red tie aimed a gun at Lin Yi, who was attacking another black-clad man. The 2 girls shouted, Lin Yi, be careful! The man in the red tie fired. Lin Yi was hit, his face turning worse. He fell back, but fortunately, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Lin Yi, his face filled with anger, glared at the man in the red tie. Today, if I don't cut you all down, I won't carry the Lin name. The man in the red tie looked a bit anxious as he glanced at Lin Yi. In his mind, he thought, it's terrifying. Not even bullets can kill this guy. Frightened, he turned and ran towards the red car, leaving Lin Yi surprised. Lin Yi turned back seriously, looking at Qiu Luo and Ning Che, who were dealing with a few men in black suits. You 2 handle these guys. I'll go after that bastard, he said before darting towards the man in the red tie. The man in the red tie opened the door of the red car, watching the men in black struggling. Stop that guy for me, he shouted loudly. In front of Lin Yi, Ning Che cheerfully wielded his sword, cutting down one of the men in black. You guys aren't even worthy to block the way. Qiu Luo also easily kicked away one of the men in black. The black-clad men screamed in despair. At this moment, Lin Yi jumped and climbed onto the roof of the red car of the man in the red tie. The man in the red tie, worried, wildly swerved the steering wheel in an attempt to shake Lin Yi off. The red car unexpectedly swerved sharply, throwing Lin Yi off onto the road. The man in the red tie checked his situation through the rearview mirror, seeing Lin Yi lying on the ground, but he quickly stood up, determination in his eyes as he looked towards the car. Lin Yi said, his voice deep and sarcastic, I really enjoy your bunch of idiots. Coming to me like this, I will definitely not let you off. The group of people dressed in black had been neatly dealt with by Qiu Luo and Ning Che. Lin Yi stepped forward, looking seriously at Qiu Luo. Your driving skill is very good. You take my brother away first. I only have one request, which is to ensure his safety. Can you do that? Qiu Luo looked at Lin Yi seriously and nodded. Okay, Lin Yi turned to Ning Che. "You come with me." Ning Che happily replied, "All right." She felt somewhat confused as she walked alongside Lin Yi. "What are we doing? Are we going to catch Va Xiongji?" Lin Yi chuckled lightly. "Lend me your phone." The two walked to the black car. Ning Che shyly, her face flushed, handed the phone to Lin Yi. "Just don't look at the album. It's full of my private photos." As Lin Yi took the phone, he explained. "Earlier, when I was chasing after Va Xiongzi's driver, I threw my phone into his car. Through the tracking function, we can determine their location." He continued, "I used this method before to find Elisa and retrieve the base ore." Hearing this, Ning Che gave a thumbs up, giving him a like, and praised, "Lin Yi, you really are a little genius." Then, both stepped out of the car under the starry night sky, with the crescent moon illuminating the surroundings. The scene shifted to a large and very modern building, the city's biology institute, where Va Xiongji was keeping Elisa and the bass ore. At this moment, in some room, Va Xiongji was intently reading a document. Suddenly, a clatter echoed from outside. Someone pushed the door open and entered. The person who entered was a subordinate of Va Xiongji. He bowed respectfully and called out, "Boss!" Va Xiongji looked up and, seeing this, immediately asked, "How is the situation resolved? No traces left behind, right?" Contrary to his expectations, the subordinate was sweating and cautiously replied, "I'm sorry, the mission has failed." Upon hearing this, Va Xiongji felt as if struck by lightning. He turned around and spoke sharply. "Failed, you say?" The employee then explained the situation. When we arrived, Elisa had already been killed. Moreover, he had 2 companions with him. They were extremely powerful. We were no match for them. He sighed regretfully and said, "In the end, I was the only one who managed to escape." Va Xiongji was a bit perplexed and asked, "How did you get away? With Lin Yi's personality, he won't easily let you off." The staff member replied, "I saw the situation was not good, so I jumped in the car and ran away. He chased after me, lying on the car, but in the end, he was left behind." Even though the staff member explained this, Va Xiongji was still skeptical, and doubts lingered in his mind. He pondered and then said, "Something doesn't quite add up." He turned to ask, "Do you mean Lin Yi caught up with you and then you drove off, leaving him behind?" The staff member immediately nodded and answered, "That's right." Upon hearing this, Va Xiongji was taken aback, realizing the issue, and exclaimed, "It's a trap!" Immediately, he closed the box containing the important item, lifted the black box with one hand. His other hand reached into his jacket pocket as if searching for something. He continued, "Over the years, you've really caused me a lot of trouble. Therefore, I've always regarded you as a trusted confidant. I never expected—" What Va Xiongji pulled out was a handgun. He aimed it directly at his subordinate. The staff member was startled by this and quickly raised both hands instinctively. At this moment, Va Xiongji's face suddenly darkened. He showed no mercy and coldly said, "This is your oversight. You've ruined my big plan, so I can't keep you around." A gunshot rang out. Va Xiongji had actually sent his trusted subordinate to hell without any hesitation. The man was caught off guard and offered no resistance, clearly hit by the bullet and dying on the spot. In the room, there were not just 2 people. The other staff members witnessing the scene, seeing their colleague lying motionless on the floor, were filled with fear. They all broke into a sweat, but not a single person dared to say a word. After that, Va Xiongji took out a walkie-talkie and ordered, "Everyone assemble!" Suddenly, as soon as he finished speaking, the door of the room was abruptly opened. The person who entered was none other than Lin Yi. He was startled. Even though he was sweating profusely, he still managed to maintain his composure and said, "You indeed did not disappoint me. You've come." Lin Yi heard this and replied, "It seems you had already anticipated that I would be coming here." At this moment, Va Xiongji looked at the subordinate he had just shot down, lying motionless on the floor. "Just now, I told you with your abilities, you would not spare anyone. He could never escape your grasp. At this point, Lin Yi no longer wanted to waste any more time. He said, "No wonder you have become the highest-ranking scientist of the Va family. Indeed, you have something unique. Hand over what you have in your hand, and I will give you a peaceful death." This statement was indeed both a jab and a caress, but Va Xiongzhi was certainly not going to easily surrender his belongings. He laughed loudly. "Ha ha! I have been hiding in the Va family for over 10 years, and spent another 14 years quietly developing my research. Do you think I would easily give it up today?" Hearing this answer, Lin Yi was not surprised at all. He shrugged and casually said, "Of course not. When a dying kite is about to fall, it still flaps for a while, let alone you." As soon as the words left his mouth, suddenly from behind Lin Yi, someone rushed forward attempting to ambush him. It was Va Xiongzhi's henchmen, and there were not just one but many others charging in. In their hands, they were all holding guns. When he saw his people had arrived, the expression on Va Xiongzhi's face seemed to become much more confident. He said to Lin Yi, "If you had been 1 minute later, I would have left. But you arrived at the wrong time. Even though you have reached level D, you still cannot be a match for guns. If you agree to cooperate with me now, I assure you, you will not die." Clearly, these words did not reach Lin Yi's ears. He frowned and bluntly replied, "Get out!" Seeing that the opponent did not hold back at all, Va Xiongzhi no longer showed any mercy. He immediately raised his hand and commanded, "Make your move." As soon as the order was given, his subordinates opened fire loudly. However, just after a few gunshots rang out, suddenly from behind them appeared an object shaped like a bottle, spewing smoke and flames. One of them heard the noise and turned to look behind in confusion. Who would have thought that what just appeared was a device capable of spreading fire? In the blink of an eye, the flames spread to several of Va Xiongzhi's subordinates. The whole group did not have time to react and were engulfed in flames. Instead of gunshots, now the sounds of screams echoed everywhere. While the chaotic scene with fire engulfing the crowd was unfolding, suddenly a woman appeared from nowhere, standing right in front of them. That person was none other than Ning Qi. At that moment, she was holding something that looked like a bottle of alcohol, likely the cause of the recent fire. Ning Qi stood with her hands on her hips, confidently smiling at her achievement. Taking advantage of the opportunity that Ning Qi had created, Lin Yi quickly ran towards Va Xiongzhi, ready to seize the box containing the base ore at any moment. On the other side, Va Xiongzhi was taken aback by Lin Yi's reckless move. He gritted his teeth in anger, silently thinking, "I never expected he had such tricks up his sleeve." Immediately after, Lin Yi pulled a sharp knife from his pocket and continued rushing toward Va Xiongzhi. Without hesitation, he plunged the knife into his abdomen. Va Xiongzhi didn't have time to dodge, only able to let out a cry, "Ah!" Blood began to spill from his mouth. At the same time, Va Xiongzhi inadvertently dropped the black box he was holding to the ground, creating a loud clatter. When Lin Yi stabbed Va Xiongzhi with a single blow, the latter no longer showed any resistance. He seemed to accept the reality and spoke in a weak voice. "I, in the end, have still fallen at your hands." In his final moments, Va Xiongzhi used the last bit of his breath to remind the one who had defeated him. "Young man, be careful of the people from the Va family." Before he could finish his words, he collapsed onto the floor, unable to say anything more. Lin Yi did not pay much attention to his words and directly picked up the box. Next, he turned to the employees over there and said, "If you don't want to die, take all the hard drives from the computers down. Otherwise, your fate will be the same as those two just now." Unlike Va Xiongzhi, these employees were just ordinary people who did not have the courage to oppose him. A nearby bespectacled employee could only comply. "Yes, yes, yes, we'll do it now." They quickly brought down a pile of computer hard drives and placed them into bags for Lin Yi. The number of hard drives was so many that the bags were on the verge of bursting. After getting what he needed, Lin Yi conveniently took a fire extinguisher with him. As he walked away, he turned back and told the employees, "Not a bad performance. Next, everyone run for your lives." The fire extinguisher was actually something Lin Yi needed. It turned out that he used it to put out the fire caused by Ning Che in order to take down a few of Va Xiongju's subordinates. As the flames were extinguished, what was revealed across from him was Ning Che. With one hand on her hip, she calmly asked, "Is it all taken care of?" Instead of answering her question, Lin Yi's gaze shifted to another direction. He suddenly asked back, "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" He had noticed the graze from a bullet beneath Ning Che's leg, which prompted his concern. Seeing his reaction, she quickly explained, "There were too many bullets. I just happened to get hit in an unprotected spot, but it's okay. It only grazed me. A little ointment will fix it." Hearing her say that, Lin Yi had a slightly regretful expression as he responded, "What a pity. A leg as beautiful as that." But it seemed that although the wound was minor, it could not be said to not hurt. She wrapped her arms around her leg, plopping down on the floor, her complexion looking quite off. Despite that, she still tried to respond. "Even if it's beautiful, you don't get to touch it, so it's useless." At that moment, Lin Yi suddenly took hold of Ning Che's hand. To her surprise, he was willing to carry her along with him. He said, "Aren't we touching it right now?" This made her feel a bit touched, but the next sentence says, "And I can't deny the feeling isn't bad." When she heard that, she kicked him with her foot. As soon as they got into the car, Lin Yi placed a black box and a bag containing a hard drive inside. At that moment, he finally took off his mask and thought about the last words of Va Xiongji before he died, which reminded him to be careful of the Va family. Once they were both settled in the car, Lin Yi noticed that Ning Che's complexion wasn't very good, so he turned to ask her again, "How's the wound on your leg? Does it hurt?" She was sitting beside him, looking quite unwell. Even though it hurt a lot, Ning Che still tried to endure it and replied, "I'm fine, I can manage." Hearing that, Lin Yi couldn't bear to see his companion injured like that. He said, "Wait a moment. I'll buy you some disinfectant when we pass by the pharmacy. Just hold on a little longer." At this point, her complexion was getting worse. Nevertheless, she could still joke with him to put his mind at ease. "Having you take care of me is my honor. When the day comes that I want to have children, I will definitely ask you to help me deliver." Anne felt a bit confused and shy at her words, replying, "In the end, what's so important about this kind of thing?" Ning Che smiled and explained further, "Because the elders at home say that whoever the children see first, they will see that person when they grow up. This kind of matter cannot be taken lightly." He fell silent after hearing that, not knowing what to say to this girl anymore. After a while, Lin Yi had stopped by the pharmacy and bought first aid supplies for her. After purchasing, he brought them back to the car. He took out the cotton ball, disinfectant, and band-aid to help her deal with her wound. At this moment, he was holding the cotton ball in his hand, but looking down at her leg, he noticed she was still wearing tights. He reminded her, "I will now take care of the wound for you. You need to take off the tights." Ning Che quickly removed her tights as Lin Yi instructed. Although she felt a little shy, her face flushed, and her mouth still teased. "Lin Yi, it seems like you still want to say I'm fine. How is this style? It's the latest trend. Exciting, isn't it?" Lin Yi, hearing this, didn't know what to say anymore, and he replied, "You really have no shame." Then he slowly helped her use the cotton ball to treat the wound on her leg. Suddenly, a soft cry rang out. Ning Che, trying to hold back the pain, said, "Be gentle. It hurts too much. I can't bear it a bit." On Lin Yi's side, he responded in confusion, "What I'm holding is disinfectant cotton. What does this have to do with me?" Hearing that, she explained, "Of course. The disinfectant cotton is too big. It hurts when placed on the wound, but I can endure it. You can apply pressure. It's fine." At this point, he truly had nothing more to say. He looked at the cotton and couldn't find any words to express himself. After using up a heap of cotton, he finally completed the disinfection of Ning Che's wound. Then, Lin Yi said, Let's head to the airport first. After we get back, we'll have them take care of you properly. So he drove them both onward. As the sun was nearly overhead, they finally crossed the long distance to the airport. In a room, suddenly there came a clack. Someone opened the door from outside and stepped in. This was the room where Liang Jinming and Chu Yuluo were. As soon as Chu Yuluo recognized the person who just entered was Lin Yi along with Ning Che, she quickly approached to greet them. "You two are back!" Upon entering, Lin Yi handed over the black box he had taken from Va Xiongzhi's place to the other party, saying, "Here." After receiving the items, she immediately opened them to check. After confirming, she said, "This mission can be considered surprising. There was no danger, and it is finally completed. Boss Liu will definitely be very happy if he knows we brought back the bass ore." Hearing that, Lin Yi smiled and replied, "He will definitely be happy. After all, we didn't suffer any losses." Chu Yuluo then said, "But don't hold any grudges against Boss Liu in your heart. He's just the project manager and doesn't have a big say. This really won't benefit you." On the other side, he replied, "Knowing me, I basically don't think too much about that." Then he pointed to Liang Jinming, who was standing behind, and said, "You two take the items back to Yanjing. I am not going. I will go directly back to Nation TH with Liang Jinming." Suddenly, a hand reached out to stop Lin Yi. It was Ning Che. She said, "Don't. You are the one in charge of this. The credit is also yours. If you don't go, how can that be?" But Lin Yi politely declined her with a rather strange reason. He replied, "The fruits in the greenhouse are about to ripen. I have to go back to sell the fruits, otherwise they'll rot in the greenhouse." Hearing this, Chu Yu was a bit surprised and asked, "Can selling fruit be more important than the mission?" At that moment he turned around, smiled, and replied, "Of course. For someone who loves life like me, nothing is more important than selling fruit." After that, he waved goodbye to the two girls still in the room, casually adding, "As for the hard drives, you girls should take them with you. The information inside is very useful for the study of genetic fluid. As for how to handle it, let Boss Liu decide." When he stepped outside, Liang Jinming followed him closely. He excitedly said to him, "Lin bro, did you join some secret military organization? You look really cool." Lin Yi stuffed his hands in his pockets and reminded him, "It may seem that way, but you can't tell anyone about it. A lot happened last night, and you have to keep it a secret." Then he turned to Liang Jinming. "If it gets leaked, it won't bring any benefits to the Liang family. Remember that." Liang Jinming replied, "Okay." Liang Jinming, full of enthusiasm, asked Lin Yi, "Now that you have such a special identity, when I go back to Nation TH, can I show off a little?" Lin Yi, without holding back, smacked Liang Jinming lightly on the head and frowned, scolding, "You fool! You almost got yourself killed. Can't you be a little more humble?" Jinming, getting scolded, scratched his head and pouted. The next day, at Ji Kyunnian and Lin Yi's yellow villa, the bedroom door creaked open. Lin Yi's face appeared as he stepped in, smiling at Ji Kyunnian, who was asleep while hugging a Pikachu stuffed toy, her face adorably flushed. She was snoring softly, and his long, slender hand slipped around Kyunnian's waist, caressing. The mischievous hand gradually moved upward. Kyunnian, still in her dream, murmured, "It tickles." Suddenly, she kicked her leg up, delivering a sharp blow to his face. He let out a cry, "Ah!" Quickly, Kyunnian sat up, clutching her stuffed toy, her face slightly remorseful when she saw Lin Yi in the room. He was holding his face, looking at her with a bullet-eyed gaze. She rushed into his arms, smacking him while pouting in annoyance. "I thought it was a pervert coming in. You scared me to death." Lin Yi, taking advantage of the situation, embraced her with a gentle gaze. He explained, "How could someone come in? The door is locked with a fingerprint. No one else can get in." Kyunnian placed her hand on her chest, fearfully saying, "In the future, don't come in without a word. You almost scared me to death." He took Kyunnian's hand and led her out of the room, saying, "Come on, I've bought breakfast for you." She heard that and became curious, asking, Is everything solved over there? How is Mr. Liang? Is he okay? Lin Yi turned his face back, showing that it was nothing serious, and replied, "Of course it's fine. I have taken him back to the Liang family." Outside the kitchen, the food Lin Yi bought included orange juice and fried dough sticks. Kyun Nian asked him, "Do you have any plans today?" Lin Yi poured the orange juice into a cup and said, "I have to go back to Huanxi village for a trip. The fruits over there are ripe, and I need to hurry to sell them. Otherwise, they will spoil. So today, I probably won't come back." Kyun Nian took a bite of the fried dough stick and pointed her finger, commanding, "I still have work at my company, so I can't go with you. But you must save some for me. I want to eat." Lin Yi proactively handed her the orange juice first, gently ruffled her hair, and replied, "Okay, no problem." Even though they were in a relationship, Kyun Nian still felt shy and blushed at his affectionate gesture. In Huanxi village, the film crew was currently working on sound and lighting, and everything was going very well. Ren Ci and her team were discussing the filming items. She was very enthusiastic and passionate. Lin Yi stepped out of the green car, with his hands casually tucked in his pockets, and greeted, "Filming the program is quite interesting." The various fruits were displayed in wooden crates, placed before the early morning sunlight. The bananas were ripe and yellow, while the lemons and oranges appeared juicy. Lin Yi picked up an apple and examined it, saying, "Once this batch sells out, the mission will be accomplished." At that moment, a ringing sound echoed. Lin Yi took out his phone and discovered it was his ringtone. It was Liu Hong calling. As soon as he answered, the man began to speak rapidly. "I truly admire you, accomplishing such a significant feat, yet you don't come to claim your reward and instead go sell fruit." Liu Hong was seated in his office, leaning on the armrest of his chair, continuing to complain. "The organization's training session is about to begin. As the team leader, how can you not attend? What kind of example does that set?" On his end, Lin Yi tossed the apple and replied, "I call this spiritual freedom. Only when one's mindset is elevated can one truly understand everything in the world. If one only pursues immediate benefits, it's impossible to go far." Liu Hong closed his eyes, slightly furrowing his brows, and said, "I find your reasoning quite convincing. It seems I should abandon the organization and start farming myself." Then he shouted again, causing Lin Yi to pull the phone away from his ear. "Moreover, you should head over to Yanjing. There are wealthy individuals there. It is all the same when it comes to selling. Hurry back here. Do you hear me?" Without waiting for Lin Yi to respond, he hung up with a decisive click, leaving Lin Yi feeling somewhat annoyed. Holding the phone up in front of him, Lin Yi mumbled grumpily, "It just keeps shutting off. What kind of person is this?" He stood in the middle of a fruit garden, his hand still holding an apple. He brought it to his mouth, eating it while speaking, "It's okay. I can only bring it to Yanjing to sell." Approaching the fruit display, Lin Yi picked up a cardboard box. Seeing him, Ren Ci walked over and said, "You're back!" He tossed a ripe red apple at her, which flew perfectly into her palm. Putting the box down on the ground, she pointed at the fruit boxes and said, "I just got back this morning and came here to see the fruits ripening. They need to be sold." Ren Ci stood to the side, covering her mouth, and joked, "I've eaten quite a bit of fruit at your house recently. You're not going to charge me, are you?" Lin Yi glanced over at the film crew, moving props to a new spot, and asked, "Talking about money is rather mundane. Is it okay without you, since the set seems busy?" Ren Ci flicked her hair, winking confidently as she said, "It's lunchtime now. We have 2 hours to prepare before we continue shooting. Although it's a variety show, we can't be filming all the time. We can piece it together later through editing." With both hands resting on a box of oranges, Lin Yi turned to look at Ren Ci and asked, "How does it feel? Is the filming going smoothly?" Ren Ci held an apple behind his back and replied, "Young people don't really adapt well to such a life, but the 2 seasoned actors are performing quite decently, still very fresh." The man quickly adapted, but also created quite a few laughable moments. While they were talking, 2 people, a girl and a boy, approached. They were the hot stars, Zhao Shiqi and Wu Wenjun. Shiqi waved and greeted, Renzi, director. Renzi was startled and turned to look at Zhao Shiqi. Upon seeing Lin Yi, her eyes lit up. Covering her mouth, she sweetly said, Director Ci, this person is Renzi. Seeing this, Renzi introduced, Let me introduce you to. He is Lin Yi. The greenhouse and fish pond we are using to film are both his. The radishes I gave you before are grown in this greenhouse. Then Renzi turned to the two and raised his hand. She is Zhao Shiqi and he is Wu Wenjun, the guests of this show. Shiqi cheerfully raised her hand to greet, while Wenjun's attitude was quite the opposite. He was not very happy, crossed his arms, and showed no further expression. Lin Yi smiled his standard smile, raised his hand, and said, Hello. Wu Wenjun casually waved his hand dismissively, saying, Director Ci, no need to introduce us, right? No matter what, we are both top stars in the entertainment industry. I'm sure everyone knows us. Renzi shyly pointed and explained for Lin Yi. He usually has a lot of work, doesn't play with his phone, and doesn't know much about the entertainment world. Wu Wenjun looked at Lin Yi with a contemptuous gaze and said, That makes sense. Being busy with planting and raising pigs every day probably means he seldom goes online. He doesn't know that we are just ordinary. Hearing those words, Lin Yi's face tightened and he glared in annoyance. Wu Wenjun thought, Where did this kiddo come from? And he acts so proud. Renzi spread his hands and asked Shiqi, What's the matter that you need me? Because Lin Yi was present, Shiqi acted shy and replied, I saw you come over, so I followed. Then she pointed at the green fruit under the wooden crate and, with a cheerful face, said, I guess he is the owner of this greenhouse, so I wanted to buy some fruit. Lin Yi, upon hearing this, pointed at the pile of ripe red apples and asked, Buy fruit? Shiqi's face turned red, and she answered, Yesterday, Director Ci gave me a peach grown in the greenhouse. He also wanted to tell me about its beauty benefits. At first, I didn't believe it, but after eating it, I realized it really works well, so I wanted to buy some for a discount. Lin Yi picked up a ripe pink peach and said, No problem. Usually, it's sold at the urban area for 3,000 per kilogram. Now selling it to you for 2,500 per kilogram should be fine, right? Both Shiqi and Wenjun were wide-eyed in surprise, and Wenjun shouted, Ah! 2,500 per pound? Wenjun angrily pointed his finger at Lin Yi's face. The most premium imported fruit is only 200 per pound. You are selling it for 2,500. Do you think we are celebrities, so you can arbitrarily ask for a high price, right? Lin Yi seemed unfazed by the issue, pointing at Renzi and said, If you don't believe me, you can ask her. I always sell at this price. If you think it's too expensive, then don't buy it. One hand of Wenjun grabbed Shiqi's arm, holding her hand and advising her, This person is really a fraud. We should not buy. Just wait a moment and have the assistant buy it for you. It's much better than buying from him. Renzi quickly explained to Shiqi and Wenjun, His fruits really always sell at this price. He's not deceiving you two. Then she raised her hand to explain further. As for the quality, you already know. Whether to buy it or not, you decide for yourself. But this is also the last sale. He said that in the future, he won't sell fruit anymore. Wenjun opened one eye in mockery. Do you think the fruit is a luxury limited edition product, and once sold out, it will stop production? Using marketing tricks is not something you should do. It's not something a farmer like you should handle. Stop these dirty calculations. Lin Yi really couldn't hold it anymore, so he picked up the cardboard box and hit it straight on Wenjun's head. He had raised his hand again. Lin Yi, annoyed, pointed his finger at Wenjun's face and said, Didn't I just say it earlier? If you can't afford it, you don't have to buy it. What's the use of talking so much? Don't you find it annoying? Renzi saw Lin Yi's attitude and felt scared, thinking, Lin Yi is really angry now. In front of Lin Yi's greenhouse, there stood a group of people including Lin Yi, Renzi, Wu Wenjun, and Zhao Shiqi. It seemed that Lin Yi and Wu Wenjun were arguing with each other. Renzi suddenly spoke up to mediate. All right, stop talking. She continued while looking at Lin Yi next to her. Aren't you supposed to be arranging the goods? Go on! Lin Yi looked at Ren Si, his face showing clear surprise. Then he closed his eyes, raised his hands in a gesture of helplessness in response to Ren Si's words, and replied, Okay, I'll go arrange the goods. As Lin Yi was about to leave, Zhao Shiqi called him back. Mr. Lin, wait a moment. Lin Yi turned around with a puzzled expression. Zhao Shiqi smiled as she ran to him, saying, I want to buy 2 kilograms of fruit. Can I go into the greenhouse to choose some? Of course, customer is number 1. Lin Yi turned to face Zhao Shiqi, extending his hand in a warm invitation. He continued, Feel free to go in and choose. Zhao Shiqi and Wu Wenjun brushed past Lin Yi as they entered, but Wu Wenjun looked at him with an annoyed expression and made a noise. Lin Yi paid no attention and still extended his hand, inviting both of them in. After inviting Zhao Shiqi and Wu Wenjun into the greenhouse, suddenly a hand touched his face. It turned out to be Ren Si. Lin Yi turned to look at her, displaying a somewhat helpless and pitiful expression. Ren Si smiled at him and said, Calm down. Don't argue with ignorant people. The entertainment industry is like that. She touched his chest and continued. In front of one face, behind another. Their character is poor, but that has nothing to do with me. What I aim for is their popularity. After hearing her words, Lin Yi closed his eyes, looking proud as he replied, His level is not enough. I basically don't want to pay attention to him. Just as he finished speaking, Zhao Shiqi and Wu Wenjun had chosen the fruits and came over. Zhao Shiqi was holding a bag of fruit in her hand and smiled at Lin Yi, saying, Mr. Lin, I've picked out the fruits, but it seems like it's a bit too much. It must be over 2 kilograms. You calculate how much I should transfer to you. While Zhao Shiqi was speaking, Wu Wenjun stood behind her, still looking at Lin Yi with a displeased expression. Lin Yi looked at the bag of fruit in Zhao Shiqi's hand and said, Let's just say it's 2 kilograms. Give me 5,000 and we're good. After hearing Lin Yi finish speaking, Wu Wenjun raised his hand to stop Zhao Shiqi. He said to her, Shiqi, wait a moment. Zhao Shiqi looked at him, her face showing no clear expression. After stopping Zhao Shiqi, Wu Wenjun looked straight at Lin Yi with an uncomfortable frown and said, He's being so casual about it, not giving you much money. What if these fruits only look like a lot, but the weight isn't enough? Upon hearing this, Lin Yi furrowed his brows, thinking, What kind of incompetence is this? After thinking this, Lin Yi put his hands in his pockets, stood up straight, and pretended to look down on him, replying, When women buy things, you don't have to act like a woman, talking back and forth. Aren't you embarrassed? Wu Wenjun, after hearing what Lin Yi said, rolled up his sleeves, preparing to fight. Gritting his teeth, he asked again, Who? Wu Wenjun continued to be annoyed, shouting, Do you believe I'll hit you, you idiot? If I... Before he could finish his words, Wu Wenjun was kicked in the stomach by Lin Yi. He showed an agonized expression, doubling over in pain. Lin Yi slowly retracted his leg, his hands still in his pockets. At this moment, Wu Wenjun had groaned, kneeling down on the ground. Meanwhile, Zhao Shiqi and Ren Si were both astonished by Lin Yi's actions. Wu Wenjun was in so much pain that his face turned pale, kneeling on the ground, looking up and gritting his teeth, enduring the pain as he said, Do you dare to hit me? At that moment, Ren Si suddenly spoke up. All right, pay attention to your status. She crossed her arms, looking at Wu Wenjun, who was kneeling on the ground, and continued, Even though we're in the countryside, we still need to be cautious. If someone happens to take secret photos, your future will be ruined. Wu Wenjun's expression twisted into a sinister look, as if he was scheming something. He thought to himself, Director C is right. It's really hard to climb up to the position of a top star. If I ruin my future over this, it's not worth it. He then stood up, pointed at Lin Yi, and said irritably, I can't be bothered to argue with you. You better be careful. Ren Si placed her hand on Lin Yi's shoulder and said, all right, stop talking. You two should go back first. She pushed Wu Wenjun away, continuing, Prepare a bit. We're going to continue shooting soon. At this moment, Wu Wenjun clutched his stomach and turned around. Lin Yi and Zhao Shiqi still stood in place. Zhao Shiqi said, "I'm really sorry. Here is 5,000. Take it." She handed the money to Lin Yi with both hands. After that, Zhao Shiqi and Wu Wenjun left. Lin Yi remained standing, watching them walk away, while Wu Wenjun still held his stomach, glancing back towards Lin Yi as he walked off. "Is that person crazy? If you weren't here, I would have kicked him to Eco." Lin Yi spoke up irritably. At that moment, Renzi came over, wrapped her arms around his, and leaned close to him. She used a pleading expression, saying, "He always flatters Zhao Shiqi, so that's why you were annoyed earlier. Calm down. It's my fault this time. I promise I'll make it up to you tonight." Upon hearing this, Lin Yi leaned closer to Renzi and replied, "This can still be considered as an attitude of admitting mistakes." As he got closer, she blushed shyly and smiled in response. "Then I'll head back now." Renzi walked ahead, then turned back, winked at him. She waved her hand, smiling. "See you later." Ngo Wenjun was strolling down the street, looking tired. His hand was clutching his chest where he had been injured from the earlier fight when he ran into a girl who seemed to be an acquaintance. She was wearing a neatly tucked-in light blue shirt with gray dress pants, looking very elegant. It turned out to be Miss Li. "You look a bit grumpy. Did Zhao Shiqi say something?" she asked with concern. Wenjun grimaced in anger and recounted, "Don't even mention it. I just encountered a stupid farmer." Zhao Shiqi went to buy some fruit, and he demanded 2,500 a kilo and then claimed it was a discount. We argued, and then he kicked me. Miss Li was shocked, her eyes wide open in disbelief. "Is this really happening? This person is so bold. If I had taken the bodyguard with me earlier, it would have been fine. So, did you lay a hand on him?" "No, Director C stopped me." Wenjun gritted his teeth, his face scrunched up in frustration. His mind was still a mess. Miss Li gently handed a glass of water to Wenjun, helping him calm down before saying, "What you did was correct. You've just entered the first tier and you're in the rising phase of your career. If you get into a fight and it gets captured by someone, it will definitely have a negative impact on you." Wenjun replied, "Look, I know, which is why I didn't strike first, letting his dog off the hook, but I have no intention of letting him go." He held the glass of water, lost in thought as he gazed into the distance, calculating in his mind. He angrily added, "Today is the last day. Just wait. Once the shoot is over, I will find someone to teach him a lesson." He was furious, his hand clenched tightly on the armrest. Miss Li held his hand tightly, her expression resolute as she responded, "I will arrange this for you. A fruit vendor, even if you beat him up, it will just be a matter of pain. I will help you settle this, making him live as a poor farmer for the rest of his life." He was surprised and gave a thumbs up. "Thank you, Miss Li." A phone call was made by Miss Li right after that. Her face was serious, frowning. "Mr. Zhang has something he needs your help with." She said, "Help me contact a reporter and some keyboard warriors. I have news that needs to be released." The next day, in a luxurious room filled with expensive items, a man and a woman were sound asleep together on a soft bed. The phone on the bedside table suddenly vibrated. The ringing echoed through the room, breaking the quiet atmosphere. "Hello?" Lin Yi asked sleepily. "You silly farmer, has a pig eaten your brain?" The voice on the phone was full of reproach. Kyun Nian, lying beside him, rubbed her eyes and asked, "So early, who is it?" She was naked, looking quite seductive. "Are you crazy?" He was still sleepy, eyes closed, frowning as he spoke. He was bewildered by this unexpected call, staring blankly at the strange number on his phone. The voice on the phone continued, "A fruit-selling bug dares to provoke a star." He was startled, sitting up, revealing his six-pack abs and toned physique, his face clearly showing anger. Lin Yi asked doubtfully, "What's going on? I've become a victim of cyberbullying. This is outrageous." On a beautiful sunny morning, sunlight shone on the towering skyscraper, making it sparkle, standing out in the city. A staff member placed a stack of newspaper articles on the desk and reported, "Here are the news articles and reporters about your cyberbullying that the Public Relations Department just arranged. They are very professional. Xiao Mao booked on the web, and the short video has exposed how you deceived a female star. They also found a large number of keyboard warriors to incite further." Lin Yi sat at his working desk, seriously picking up each newspaper to read. "It can't be that female star, right? You all go investigate the background of Wu Wenjun and his manager," he instructed his staff carefully. He Yuan crossed her arms and showed the phone with several text messages for him to see. "It's already been investigated. Did you think the Public Relations Department of Lingyun Corporation was just for show? This is the record of the conversation between his manager and the reporters. It's them who did it." Lin Yi was surprised by this swift information and happily exclaimed, Yuan is amazing!" Miss Li, sitting in front of the computer in the office, suddenly widened her eyes in astonishment. "What's going on? The news about Lin Yi has all been deleted." She leaned back in her chair, frowning as she made a phone call. "What's going on? Do you need to find more keyboard heroes to push the news to hot search?" Before she could finish speaking, a loud voice on the other end interrupted her. "You idiot! You've made me offend the chairman of Langyun Group. His background is very significant. Do you think he lacks money? He even intimidates female celebrities. Is there any female celebrity who doesn't fall for him?" Miss Li was struck as if by lightning, her eyes wide. "A valuable background? Is he the owner of a huge empire?" Suddenly, a loud bang sounded as the door swung open. Miss Li jumped slightly. A person walked in and asked, "What's wrong?" It was Wu Wenjun, his face pale, fearfully and anxiously saying, "All your announcements have been suspended. They say you've been blacklisted. The person you met at Huasi Villages is not an ordinary person. He is the CEO of Langyun Group." Along with his fear, he stared wide-eyed, his pupils seeming to want to jump out. His mind was in chaos, and he panicked, kneeling on both knees, grabbing Miss Li's hand and continuously pleading, "Miss Li, I know I was wrong. Please, give me another chance." Miss Li was extremely unhappy. In the eyes of wealthy people, movie stars are just toys. In reality, they are nothing at all. "In the future, I fear I won't be able to work in this industry anymore." Then she decided, "Let's go to Huanxi village to apologize to Mr. Lin." Despite feeling uncomfortable, Miss Li still tried to help Wu Wenjun. The atmosphere in the village was very peaceful. The two of them, Wu Wenjun and Miss Li, had prepared many gift bags to bring to Lin Yi's house. When Lin Yi called out to him, he was a bit surprised to see the two. They couldn't help but ask, "Why are you here?" Wu Wenjun hurriedly apologized. "Mr. Lin, I'm sorry. We were blind to the situation. We hope you can forgive us." Miss Li also agreed with Wu Wenjun. "That's right, Mr. Lin. We only got to know each other after the fight. I hope you will take care of us more in the future." She even presented the apology gifts to Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at the pile of gifts in his hands. Quite a sincere gesture. He didn't expect them to come all the way to his house to apologize, and he was even more surprised by the number and size of the gifts. But right after that, he threw all the gifts down to the ground. He didn't care at all. Wu Wenjun and Miss Li were both extremely surprised by his actions. Lin Yi, with a serious expression, closed his eyes and thought, "Everyone is an adult and must learn to pay for their own actions. Therefore, I cannot help with this matter. You have to find a way yourself." He spoke with a tone of strong determination, not saying much more. Then Lin Yi slammed the door shut, leaving Wu Wenjun and Miss Li outside, unable to respond. As he stepped inside, someone in the house immediately asked, "Who came to see you?" Renzi, wrapped in a thin towel covering the necessary parts, asked Lin Yi, "Is it convenient for you to be here?" Seeing Renzi in front of him, Lin Yi smiled gently, completely different from how he treated Wu Wenjun and the others. "Are you about to take a shower or just done?" he asked in return. "If you say it's not convenient, wouldn't that be too much excitement?" Lin Yi spoke with an implicit meaning. Renzi understood, covering her chest with her hand as she reproached him. "I just took off my clothes getting ready to shower when I heard someone calling you. It's not just excitement. I'm about to die from excitement here. Go out the back door, Renzi continued. Lin Yi quickly pulled at Renzi's towel. Don't go. I'm just joking. It's not someone important. She pouted with embarrassment. If you dare do that again, I'll bite you. Lin Yi embraced Renzi, his affectionate gaze teasing. Don't you often bite me? Besides, your biting technique is getting more and more skilled. Despite Lin Yi's teasing, he still did not forget to care for Renzi. Noticing that Renzi had not showered yet, he asked, Why are you only showering now? Were you busy? Today is the last day of the first semester. We just finished shooting. I also dealt with a lot of trivial matters, so it was only until now that I wrapped everything up, Renzi replied. Exhausted, she headed towards the bathroom. Lin Yi couldn't help but open the bathroom door, peeking inside with a mischievous smile. Showering alone is boring. How about we go together? Renzi immediately protested. I would never go with you. Is it up to you to decide this? Lin Yi ignored her objections. After entering, he promptly closed the door. Renzi's bath towel fell to the floor, and then came the intimate moment between the two young people. The next morning, on the plane, Lin Yi walked through a cabin and saw a basket of fresh fruit on the snack cart. He immediately thought of Shen Su Yi and Liang Ruoshu. I'll bring some over for Aunt Shen in a bit, he told himself. When Lin Yi arrived at Shen Su Yi's company, the receptionist saw him carrying the fruit basket and asked, Hello, may I ask who you are looking for? He stood upright at the reception desk and replied, Looking for your CEO Shen. May I ask if you have an appointment? The receptionist continued to behave normally, unaware of the relationship between the person in front of her and CEO Shen. Lin Yi held out his phone. On the phone was a picture he took with Liang Ruoshu, the two of them holding hands closely together. Lin Yi cheerfully said, I am the son-in-law of CEO Shen. You ladies probably don't need to make an appointment, right? Son-in-law of CEO Shen? The receptionist seemed enlightened and hurriedly exclaimed. She said, Is there anyone more important than the family of CEO Shen? The receptionist was cautious and carefully guided Lin Yi. Hello, Mr. Lin. CEO Shen's office is on the top floor. After you exit the elevator, go to the right. I will arrange for someone to take you up. Lin Yi just wanted to respond to the receptionist and did not need her to escort him to the place. He cheerfully waved his hand in refusal. No need for such trouble. I can go by myself. Lin Yi walked toward the elevator corridor. There were also people waiting in front of the elevator. A middle-aged woman turned her head, noticing the person approaching. Seeing Lin Yi, she couldn't help but marvel inwardly, this young man is really handsome. It seemed Lin Yi was not paying much attention and leisurely walked toward the elevator. At that moment, it happened to arrive at their floor. She turned and asked, Which floor are you going to? He smiled and replied, It's the top floor, thank you. She glanced down at the fruit basket he was holding and thought to herself, This delicate fruit is likely delivered by a shipper. Zhao Lei took out a business card, smiled, and handed it to him, asking, Young man, what's your name? Lin Yi was surprised when he saw her offering the business card and could only manage a quick reply. Zhao Lei tucked her hair behind her ear and said, Do you have time tonight? I would like to invite you to dinner. Seeing her demeanor, he thought to himself, It seems she wants to sponsor me. After hearing Zhao Lei's words, he squinted and asked in return. Zhao Lei was flustered and blushed as she replied, It's not that kind of idea. I just want to get to know you. If you agree, I could help you switch to a different job. At the very least, I could elevate your position a few levels. He smiled and thought, It's clear she's an educated person. To sponsor someone while phrasing it so lightly and cleanly, there's a hint of sleaziness. He chuckled and replied, I'll think about it. Zhao Lei stepped out of the elevator, then turned back, winking and saying, All right then, I'll be waiting for your call. As the elevator doors closed, he was left alone. Lin Yi's face darkened as he muttered, Boring. The scene shifted to someone holding a teacup, saying, I still have a document that needs reviewing. Please wait a moment for my secretary to bring it over. After that, we'll go eat. After thinking carefully, it has been 30 years since we last shared a meal together, Miss Liang said. Qin Yingyue, sitting opposite, quickly replied, I remember back then, when you and Mr. Liang were about to get married, you dragged me along shopping for several days. As Qin Yingyue yawned, she continued, the clothes and blankets you picked, I didn't dare say they weren't beautiful. Upon hearing her, Miss Liang retorted, if your taste had been good back then, you would have picked Mr. Lin for me. Who knows? Lin Yi might even be your son by now. After saying this, Miss Liang raised her teacup to her lips, savoring it before asking, what have you been doing the past few months? Qin Yingyue answered cheerfully upon being asked, traveling, visiting a few small cities in the country. It really feels quite liberating, sister. Aside from work trips, I haven't had the chance to go anywhere else in a long time. Miss Liang quickly replied, a big career like yours is waiting for you. You can't compare it to someone as leisurely as me. Qin Yingyue responded, moreover, your Liang family is developing rapidly now. Except for my Lu family, no one dares to look down on your family anymore. But I must say, we really have to thank Lin Yi. If it weren't for him creating opportunities, the Liang family wouldn't even have the qualifications. Miss Liang answered softly. After listening, Qin Yingyue also asked a few things. How is the Wang family now? Do they have any actions? Not at the moment, Miss Liang replied. She went on, everything is quite peaceful, but it seems that the Qin family is not peaceful at all. Without thinking, as soon as she finished speaking, the lady quickly responded, a few days ago, Lin Yi fought with Qin Yanling, but the injury is not serious, just a broken wrist. Qin Yingyue's eyes widened in surprise upon hearing this. Why did the two of them fight? Once she calmed down, she continued to ask, how do they know each other? Miss Liang said, isn't Lin Yi in the organization? He became friends with Qin Yanling's girlfriend. Your cousin suspected the two of them were having an affair, and then they fought. After pondering for a moment, she continued, this matter is also quite vague. Years ago, Lin Jingzhan beat up your two uncles, and now your child fights the child of the second brother. These two fathers and sons are really bullying people too much. Qin Yingyue sighed, closed her eyes heavily, and responded, there really is no way to deal with those two fathers and sons. Who can feel at ease with them? Hearing a knock on the door, Miss Liang stood up, looking at her while walking to answer. It must be the secretary coming. After you finish reviewing the contract, we can go have a meal. The door suddenly swung open before she could get close. Both of them looked towards the door, their expressions full of surprise. Qin Yingyue's eyes widened, her face stunned. Tears began to stream down her cheeks. She turned her face away, trying to avoid being noticed. Meanwhile, Su Yi was chatting with Lin Yi. Why did you come? The people downstairs didn't inform Aunt. Lin Yi smiled brightly, holding up a basket of fruits in response. The superiors arranged it, so I came to conveniently bring Aunt some fruits. I told them not to say anything to create a surprise for Aunt Shen, but it seems like Aunt has a guest. I'll leave the fruits here and go now. Suddenly, she raised her hand, signaling for him to stay. Wait, don't go, she warmly invited. It's already noon. Stay and have lunch first before leaving. Hearing this, Lin Yi politely declined. I'm about to call Aunt my mother-in-law. Why be so formal with me? Aunt has a guest. How can I stay for lunch? Su Yi remained determined, pointing at Yingyue and saying, she's a close friend of Aunt, not a stranger. It's just a simple meal at the company cafeteria. Su Yi's insistence made Lin Yi feel awkward. He could only laugh it off. Su Yi glanced at her friend, who was sitting with her back turned on the chair. She thought to herself, if I don't arrange the opportunity for her and Lin Yi to meet, she will probably say she's not ready her whole life. This time is a chance given by heaven. Lin Yi scratched his head, shyly saying like that doesn't seem good, right? I don't know Aunt that well. I'm okay with it, but I'm afraid she might feel awkward. At that moment, all three of them were settled on the sofa. Su Yi sat next to Yingyue, while Lin Yi sat opposite. Hearing Lin Yi's response, she persuaded, We're all in our 50s, and we could be mothers. What is there to feel awkward about? Lin Yi felt embarrassed, thinking to himself that this comparison was a bit odd. In the end, he accepted the invitation. All right then, if Aunt Shen says so. That response pleased Su Yi, and she smiled gently. After successfully persuading Lin Yi, Su Yi happily stood up and turned to Ying Yue. Let's go, it's time, let's go eat. She held her friend's hand and urged her to go. The three quickly exited the room to head to the restaurant. Su Yi still held Ying Yue's hand tightly, while in her other hand, she held a small yellow box, urging, let's go, I'm hungry. Meanwhile, Lin Yi shoved his hands into his pockets and strode along behind them. On the way, an employee working in the company approached Shen Su Yi. She reported the situation. Shen CEO, the base ore contract is ready. As she spoke, she handed the file to her. Su Yi temporarily didn't accept the proposal from the employee. Leave it in my office, we'll handle it tomorrow. The girl received it and nodded politely in response. Yes. Lin Yi glanced at the employee, who just passed by, going in the opposite direction from him. He had a serious expression, observing. He then looked at Ying Yue, silently wondering, what kind of relationship can make the cold woman Shen Su Yi treat someone like this? She doesn't even care about the company contract. How close must they be? He recalled the scene just now, perplexed, thinking, but why did that woman look at me strangely just now? The three of them walked for a while before reaching the cafeteria. Lin Yi noticed that the gold box Su Yi was carrying contained cherries. The glossy red cherries were arranged on the dining table. She invited Ying Yue to eat while also introducing and pointing at them. You should try these cherries. They are homegrown. You had some before. They are incredibly delicious. But perhaps Ying Yue wasn't very attentive to her, as she was staring fearfully at her brother sitting opposite her, who was enjoying his lunch. Then she turned around, smiling politely to decline. Sister won't eat, you eat it. Su Yi, seeing this, asked in confusion, why not eat? This type of fruit can only be found in your place. Hurry and try it. It's really delicious. Being urged like that, she finally reluctantly took the fruit her friend offered and took a bite. She exclaimed, I've truly never eaten such delicious fruit before. After that, Shen Su Yi suddenly turned to question Lin Yi. You beat Qin Yanling from the Qin family a few days ago, right? This caught him off guard as he was chewing his food, and he anxiously replied, You already know about this? Her face became serious as she added, Yanjing is quite small. News spreads very quickly. I've also heard that they went looking for Mr. Lu, arguing as if Mr. Lu doesn't care about this. Nation TH is your territory, but this is Yanjing, not a place where you can do whatever you want. Be mindful of yourself. She continued to remind him. Hearing that, Ying Yue also kept silent, stealing glances over to the side, lifting her glass of water to drink. Lin Yi also put on a listening expression, smiling as he picked up another piece to eat, and replied, Thank you, Aunt Shen. Looking over at Ying Yue, he saw that she had started eating and thought to himself, After so many years, this is the first time that I, along with my son, are sitting together at the dining table. There must be countless things to say. I'll ask him these questions. Shen Su Yi, taking advantage of the meal, asked Lin Yi, Do you have any plans for the future, my child? What's your plan? Caught off guard while holding his cup of water, he replied while taking a sip. Actually, I don't have any specific plans. Just take it one step at a time, learn more skills, and focus on making money. Just little things like that. Planting fruits and raising pigs is quite good. Although Shen Su Yi listened to this, she still felt a bit worried. She sincerely advised him, Only when you become strong enough will you have the capability to take care of yourself and those around you. You are still far from that now, not enough yet. Lin Yi clenched his fists tightly, raising them to his chest, showing excitement like a child joking, I'm not scared at all, with Aunt Shen backing me up. Who would dare mess with Lin Yi? Seeing this, Shen Suyi exhaled deeply, bringing her hands together, playfully scolding this kiddo. Ying Yue also raised her hand to her mouth, laughing at the adorable expression of her son. At the same time, the two pairs of legs of two women appeared. They were standing in front of the door and stepping into the dining room. It was Ma Xiaoping, the director of the investment division of Huarun Group, and the person beside her was Zhao Lei, the CEO of the C Group. She cautiously asked Xiaoping for her opinion. "Miss Ma, I have just reported to you. What do you think?" The other woman immediately replied, "I think it's quite good. You belong to the chip packaging company. The country is still in a rising phase. As long as you work hard, you will definitely have a place in the domestic semiconductor industry in the future." Ma Xiaoping also made a suggestion, but 3.8 billion is a bit high. I can't guarantee it for sure, but I can certainly bring the price up to over 2.5 billion. Zhao Lei, upon hearing this, became awkward, rubbing her hands together. Her mouth still smiled as she responded, "We are also focused on this market, but the figure of 3.8 billion is the price we must maintain. I hope Miss Ma can help us more." Xiaoping immediately said, "You are a person who values introductions. I no longer consider you an outsider." This took Zhao Lei by surprise. Then she commented and sincerely suggested, "Actually, your proposal is very good. Why not try going to Lingyun Capital? They are the leading company in the semiconductor and internet industry in the country. An investment of 3.8 billion for them is just a drizzle." Zhao Lei lightly brushed her hair, feeling awkward. She explained, "The CEO of theirs seems to be a mysterious figure. Ordinary people cannot meet him. The company's business is basically managed by a senior vice president. We had sent our proposal before, but they have not responded yet." She continued the story while Xiaoping listened attentively. Then, she patted Zhao Lei's shoulder, showing her support. "Don't be discouraged. This project is still better than having no investors at all." After encouraging her, Xiaoping cheerfully invited her to dinner. "Let's have a meal at home. The chef is 5-star rated, very skilled." Zhao Lei immediately smiled and agreed. "Then I won't be polite to Miss Ma anymore." Suddenly, Ma Xiaoping paused, as if she had just noticed something. Unexpectedly, she suddenly exclaimed, "Oh my God! CEO Shen is actually eating here!" Suyi, who was sitting at the table wiping his mouth, also paid attention to the commotion. Zhao Lei did not know who that person was and secretly asked Xiaoping, "Is that Shen CEO?" She subtly confirmed, "If we hadn't met, then it's just right that we have now. Let's go greet him." Suddenly, she was stunned when she saw the person sitting and eating with Shen Suyi and Ying Yue was Lin Yi. She scratched her face and smiled awkwardly, thinking, "It must be a coincidence. How could a clothing seller be dining with Shen's CEO?" After seeing Shen Suyi, she politely bowed. Mrs. Xiaoping spoke first. "Are you here to eat as well?" She replied briefly, as a kind of usual social exchange, having just finished discussing business. Then Xiaoping pointed at Zhao Lei to introduce, "This person is the CEO of C Corporation." Zhao Lei had just wrapped up discussions on investments and came here for a meal. Next, she politely bent down and said, "Hello." Shen Suyi also smiled politely as a greeting. Suddenly, hearing a familiar voice, Lin Yi, munching away, glanced over. He saw the woman in front of him, and out of surprise at meeting the person from the elevator again, he stammered, "Is it you?" This made Zhao Lei a bit anxious. She turned pale, raised her hand to hold it, and smiled apologetically. "Indeed, it's a bit surprising. I didn't expect to meet here." Xiaoping observed the situation and then asked, "Do you two know each other?" The lady quickly introduced, "This person is Shen Suyi. Let me introduce you to. This is Lin Yi, the CEO of Langyun Group." Meanwhile, Lin Yi smirked, savoring the remaining drink in his cup. As soon as Shen's CEO spoke, Zhao Lei jumped in surprise, so startled that her mouth fell open. She awkwardly approached and extended her hand for a handshake with him, stammering, "Mr. Lin, hello." Lin Yi accepted, smiled, shook her hand, and greeted back. "Hello?" Zhao Lei cleverly hinted to Shen Su-yi. "Excuse us, we won't disturb you while you enjoy your meal." "Go ahead." Su-yi supported herself on the table, responding cheerfully. Then she warmly invited the two guests. "The Kali tuna is quite good today. You two should go try it." Zhao Lei bowed in appreciation. "All right. Thank you, Shen CEO." She and Ma Xiaoping left. As they walked, the two chatted. Xiaoping asked first, "What's going on? Do you know Mr. Lin?" This made Zhao Lei blush deeply, appearing embarrassed. She immediately covered her face, groaning and saying, "Ah, don't mention it. I want to find a place to stomp my head to death. This is too embarrassing." It seemed that Xiaoping understood something. She became anxious, smiled knowingly, and urged her to quickly reveal what was going on. "It's not someone outside. Why keep hiding it? Tell me, what exactly is the matter?" Zhao Lei knew she couldn't hide it any longer. She covered her mouth with her hand and whispered to her companion, "Earlier in the elevator." Xiaoping watched eagerly. After she finished telling the story, Xiaoping burst out laughing so hard, her face turned red, tears streaming down her cheeks as she exclaimed, "You did well, and you made such a request to Mr. Lin." Xiaoping's exaggerated reaction left Zhao Lei no choice but to cover her face and sigh, feeling even more ashamed. Still caught up in the laughter, Xiaoping pointed at Zhao Lei and announced, "I've heard rumors that Lin Yi is the son-in-law of CEO Shen." That information surprised her a bit. She hesitated before commenting after hearing it. "So that's how it is. They do make a good match. Both are quite excellent." Suddenly, Xiaoping slapped her hard on the shoulder, then placed her entire hand on it, suggesting that she should go down to the parking lot to stop him. "If you see Mr. Lin, you should go up to the investment table with him. Who knows, it might just work out. Once that happens, having our Ing Yun group backing you would make it all the more reliable, wouldn't it?" Upon hearing that, Zhao Lei felt as if he had struck gold, clenching his fist with determination. "All right, I'll do as you say." The food on the table for the three of them, Shen Su-yi, Ying Yue, and Lin Yi, was all finished. There were fish, vegetables, and water prepared. They wiped their mouths after the meal, and just then, Su-yi asked Lin Yi, "What about that corporation? Is it a company still investing?" He immediately denied, "Not at all." As he sipped water while smirking, he recounted their encounter in the elevator. "It seems like she has a crush on me and even gave me her business card." Shen Su-yi laughed lightly, bringing her hand to her mouth in admiration. "Ha ha, you're just too outstanding." As she spoke, she turned to Ying Yue, who was still wiping her mouth, noticing the two women exchanging meaningful glances. Lin Yi found it puzzling, thinking, "What are these two doing, flirting with each other?" Shen Su-yi then urged him, "The food has been served, and everyone has finished eating. Go and take care of your business." Upon hearing that, Lin Yi tucked his hands into his pockets and propped himself against the table for leverage to stand up. "Excuse me, I'm leaving first." Watching his back as he walked away, Ying Yue couldn't hold back her tears, but only dared to watch him intently. Seeing her friend so emotional, Shen Su-yi sympathetically handed her a handkerchief, encouraging, "He's gone now. Dry those tears. It's not farewell forever. Don't you get to see him often?" Ying Yue took the handkerchief, wiping away the tears that lingered on her cheeks. Her mood seemed to have gradually improved. She said, "That's not wrong, but whether there will be another opportunity like that in the future is uncertain." Shen Su-yi comforted her. "All right, don't be sad anymore. Let's go." She stood up, pointing to Lin Yi, who was leisurely walking in the parking lot. He had his hands tucked into his pockets, looking quite relaxed. Suddenly, Zhao Lei approached, cheerfully waving at him. "Mr. Lin, hello." When he saw her, he joked, "Do you still want to support me now? Just in time. I'm running low on cash. How much do you plan to give me each month?" Zhao Lei rubbed her neck, appearing embarrassed by his joke. "Mr. Lin, please don't mock me anymore. That was a misunderstanding earlier." She continued to explain. "If I had known you were the CEO of Lang Yun Corporation, I wouldn't have dared to say such things even if I borrowed a few guts." He then inquired, "So what brings you to find me?" Zhao Lei stood opposite him, carefully introducing herself. Mr. Lin, let me introduce myself again. I am the general manager of C Company. Our company is involved in chip packaging, the final stage of the semiconductor industry. She held out a folder with both hands. Lin Yi slowly accepted it. She explained, "This is our fundraising plan. I hope you can take a look." He glanced through the first few pages, fully focused without even a glance at the other person. He softly asked, "How much money is needed?" Her attitude was very cordial. With a bright smile like a flower, she replied, "Our fundraising plan is 3.8 billion. But specifically, how much you want to invest depends on how much Mr. Lin thinks of us." Perhaps for a director, the amount to be spent was as trivial as a cow shedding hair or a tamarind tree losing leaves. He returned the documents to Zhao Lei and casually remarked, 3.8 billion for 44% ownership. Comparatively, it's acceptable. You go to the group to find Qi Zhao. Watch, just tell them I asked them to invest in you. Faced with this swift business demeanor, Director Lei was shocked to the point where his eyes were filled with confusion. He had to confirm again for fear of mishearing. "Huh? Are you really investing in us? Aren't you going to review it again? Or hold a discussion meeting?" Lin Yi remained very calm. "It's not that much money. You just go find Qi Zhao to ask for the investment." After that, he turned and leisurely walked away, not forgetting to wave goodbye. Zhao Lei was overjoyed, bowing. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lin." Seeing the figure standing by the road waving for a taxi, she gazed a little longer, her heart continuously marveling. Such is a big company. 3.8 billion to him is just like a light drizzle. Moments later, Zhao Lei called out loudly, "Mr. Lin!" Being addressed so directly, Lin Yi was taken aback and looked towards her. Zhao Lei slowly approached, leaning in closer with a very gentle and sincere tone. "Are you preparing to catch a ride? My car is right next to us. If Mr. Lin doesn't mind, I can drive you there." Lin Yi did not decline and replied, "That would be fine. Sorry for the trouble." Soon after, they arrived at the event hall. Lin Yi got out of the car and entered inside, immediately hearing the voice of Director Zhao echoing, "Thank you, Mr. Lin, for the opportunity. Call any time and I will be there." A smile appeared on his lips as he waved goodbye while stepping into the building. A moment later, the office door opened. He walked up to Liu Hong's desk, and the older man warmly welcomed him. "You've arrived, have you? Please, take a seat." Lin Yi leisurely sat down in the chair, crossing his legs and inquiring, "When does the training officially begin? It has been delayed for quite some time, hasn't it?" The old man was pouring hot water from a thermos, steam rising gently in the room. Through the face aged by time, Liu Hong looked at him for a long while before continuing, "It starts tomorrow. You are now the team leader of Team 1. After the training, when everything is done, I will let you choose first." Liu gently pushed the warm glass of water forward, calmly advising, "Perform well. Cut down on the trifling matters. 3 years of serious work, and in 5 more years, you will be able to climb to the position of coordinator. The future ahead is broad." Lin Yi listened to the other person lecture while holding the warm glass of water, wanting to enjoy it. He thought about negotiating further. At least 3 years. Is it possible to shorten the time? Liu Hong seemed to have a method and immediately replied without hesitation. "The only way is for me to suddenly encounter an unexpected incident, and if the organization has no one to replace me, they will let you take over." Mr. Lin carefully listened to every word, unable to conceal his satisfaction and the smile at the corners of his mouth full of praise. That's a pretty good method. Seeing that the other party might want to proceed this way, Mr. Liu furrowed his brow, shifted to another topic, crossing his arms, and immediately questioned, "All right, stop with the nonsense. What are you busy with at Nation TH? If you don't invite you, you wouldn't come, right?" Feeling wronged, Lin Yi quickly protested. "My fruit cart is still at the airport. If I don't hurry to sell it, it will rot in a few days." He pointed to the box lying nearby, curious all this time, and said, Has anyone checked the contents of the hard drive? Is it useful? Liu Hong leaned his elbows on the table, interlocking his fingers, his expression extremely serious. He explained, "Of course there are uses, but for the research of genetic fluid in water, it is not applicable. The higher-ups also have no intention of conducting in-depth research in this area. They plan to use it in other fields." Lin Yi realized the situation and did not refute it, instead simply responding, "That makes sense. Those who go against the principle truly are not suitable for us." Suddenly, the old man's demeanor became extremely stern and uneasy. Liu Hong pointed straight at him and made a request. "This morning, Mr. Liu called and said he wanted to meet you. If you have time, you should go now." Lin Yi felt confused internally. Why would such a high-ranking leader want to meet me? Mr. Liu returned to a gentle tone and continued, "I can't say for sure. It's getting late, and you've consecutively achieved 2 second-place finishes. If they are looking for you, it must be a good thing. I'll send the address to your phone. You should hurry on over." Seeing that the other party wanted to hastily conclude the matter, he gradually stood up from the comfortable chair. "I'll go there now." Under the bright golden sun and amidst the fresh blue sky, in a house built in an old-fashioned style, there sat an old man with white hair in the courtyard. One hand wielded a fan, while the other held a cup of tea, sipping and savoring it. Feeling a noise, he lifted his gaze forward. Lin Yi's leather shoes gradually came into view. He looked at the person in front of him with indifference, the teapot exuding a fragrant aroma. The old man with white hair smiled and said, "Come on, I've been waiting for you for half a day." Lin Yi sat down in the chair and asked, "Mr. Liu, is there something you need to discuss with me?" Mr. Liu Bei-chen poured tea, smiling as he said, "Try it. This is Da Hong Pao from the Mother Tree on Wuyi Mountain." Lin Yi picked up the freshly brewed hot cup of tea and asked with a smile, "You specially called me here. It can't just be for tea, right?" Mr. Liu Bei-chen chuckled, fanning himself with a fan, and asked, "How is the situation on the island?" He closed his eyes, savoring the cup of tea, and said, "Va Xiongji is dead. If no one steps up, they will probably collapse." Mr. Liu Bei-chen continued, "Right now, the only ones who can research and develop genetic fluid are the Va family. What do you think about the capabilities of both sides?" Lin Yi replied, "Va Xiongji was not very competent, significantly inferior compared to the Va family." He looked at the old man, fanning himself with a smile. "As for the Va family, it's not easy to talk about their strength and internal situation. I've only seen the tip of the iceberg. The specific situation is impossible to guess." Mr. Liu Bei-chen asked, "You are now the team leader of Team 1. How will you arrange things?" Lin Yi smiled and said, "I will do as the superiors arrange. I have no advantages, just obedient. Pointing where to go is what I do. Wherever I'm needed, I will go there." Mr. Liu Bei-chen laughed and looked at him and said, "Kiddo, you only know how to talk nonsense with me every day." He stood up, laughing, and said, "Then come with me. I will introduce you to someone." Lin Yi calmly asked, "Who is it?" Then, at a house with a red gate, Lin Yi followed Mr. Liu Bei-chen. He said, "Whether it's good or not, you will see for yourself." At a place where many people were standing, there were voices in front of a crowd that was encircling. Lin Yi asked, "What is happening?" 2 people turned back, seeing Lin Yi and Mr. Liu Bei-chen gradually approaching. Then they began to spread apart, making way for the 2. Mr. Liu Bei-chen smiled at everyone and said, "This level is not bad. Sui Qiang is lifting weights." One person in the crowd said, "This person is named Sui Qiang. He is the nephew of a friend of mine. I heard about him before, and my impression is that his level is not bad. He has already reached level D, with very good talent and high skill level." Lin Yi looked and said, "Pretty strong, but compared to the organization, the training and equipment of everyone else is indeed a bit lacking. It's quite interesting, but not professional at all. It doesn't provide a comprehensive view." Mr. Liu Bei-chen chuckled and nodded happily, saying, "The training conditions certainly can't be compared to the organization. I just wanted you to evaluate a bit. If possible, then please keep it for your team. Lin Yi looked at him and said, "Tomorrow is the official trial training day. At that time, call him to the organization point. It'll be much more appropriate." Mr. Liu Beichen smiled and looked at Lin Yi, saying, "You silly." He also laughed, looked at him and asked, "Am I too inept at handling things?" Mr. Liu Beichen placed his hand on Lin Yi's shoulder and said, "Not even out of respect for me. For many years you've been the second." Mr. Liu Beichen looked ahead, thinking to himself, "Your dad is the first." Grandfather Sui Qiang stepped out with a person. He smiled and said, "Mr. Liu, this is my grandson, okay?" Mr. Liu Beichen bowed his head and smiled, saying, "I think it's okay, but their team leader isn't very satisfied. We should have him participate in the training tomorrow to see how he performs overall." He looked at Lin Yi and asked, "Team leader, do you think this person is too young?" Grandfather Sui Qiang said, "Leader Lin, I want to ask you what exactly you are not satisfied with. Could you tell me?" Lin Yi smiled wryly and said, "Please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying he is not good. I just feel that the training conditions here are a bit isolated. Let's wait until tomorrow when the official trial training begins. Doing a comprehensive assessment over there would be more appropriate."